Hey guys, welcome to a brand new series of Photoshop from Edupedia World. In the first episode of this series, we're going to look at a concept that a lot of people would have stumbled upon when they start using any photo editing software. When I first started with Photoshop, the first thing I wanted to do was take my photograph and merge it with another photograph, my famous celebrity, a cricketer. So I wanted him to be next to me, and I thought it was cool. So most people would want to do similar things when they learn that they can merge two photos together. You might want to take a part of a photo and put it with something else, like I said, your celebrity, or maybe a crush that you want to be next to, or it could be you want to take yourself and put on a beautiful background and type some words on top of it and make it as a postcard and send to your friends and family for Christmas or some other special occasion. Whatever the reason be, if you want to sort of take a part of a photograph or part of an image and move it around to another place or make it go away, this lesson would kind of help you do that. So let's see how to do that. Now, this being the first episode of the series, I must talk a little bit about the user interface that you are seeing right now that I'm using. I'm using Photoshop CC 2017, as you can see here. You might have a different version to what I'm using, but don't get intimidated by the user interface here. Don't think like, oh man, he's using a different version to what I have, so this might not be useful. No. While the user interface might be a little different, the basic concepts and the functionality of Photoshop is similar no matter what version of Photoshop you're using. And I guess unless you're too far behind in terms of the version. So anyways, we're gonna open a file here, and for the purpose of this video, I've taken an image of a cricket match. This is a picture of a cricket match that happened in India. Our Captain Cool Dhoni is right here, and we're gonna play with this photo today. So unlike most conventional way of learning a software where you start from the tools and you sort of understand what each tool does and how to get the best out of it, and then go on to maybe the menu and see what is in each menu, what all you can do with each menu, and then go into the panels and things like that. We're going to take a different approach in this series. The way I learn best is when I tackle a problem and try to find the solution to it by practical means. That is my way of learning things, and I believe I learn faster when I learn something by actually doing it. So I'm going to take the same approach here. We're going to take a problem in each class, and we're going to see how we can approach that and what tools we can use to achieve the final goal that we are hoping to get. So in this photograph, we have Captain Cool, Mr. Dhoni, and he has a situation in his hand. The batsman is hitting the ball. This is the batsman in black, and he's hitting the ball towards the square-like region, which is right here in this region. And we are going to help Captain Cool, the team in yellow, and Dhoni of course, by putting a fielder in this area where there is none at the moment. So we are basically going to have to put a fielder here. How do we do that? Well, we have someone here, Mr. Raina. We're just gonna have to move him from this position all the way to over this position. It's as simple as that. That's the objective in this lesson. The moment I say move something in this image, the first thing most people would think about is the Marquee tool, which is the second tool in the toolbar. The Marquee tool is something you'll come across quite a lot if you have a background of photo paint or paintbrush in Windows or similar softwares to that. So you might be familiar with this tool, the Marquee tool. What it does is basically selects a region of the photo and you can delete it, move it, and stuff like that. The Marquee tool is okay, it'll do the job, but then we don't want to just block out an entire area around the field. Rather, we want to go as close to him as possible and not just make a rectangular selection. So for this purpose, we're going to choose another tool called the Lasso tool, which is the third tool in the toolbar. Now, with this tool selected, you are basically going to just go around as close to the fielder as possible. You don't have to be exactly on next to his skin and his shirt. You can just be a little bit liberal and make a selection like this. And the Lasso tool is like the Marquee tool. It selects the area of your choice, but it lets you express yourself. You're not constrained to some boundaries. You can go beyond it and make a selection of your choice. So once you selected it, you would see that you have a sort of a moving line, dotted line around the selection, which is known as marching ants for obvious reasons. Okay, now we have the fielder selected. What do we do? At this point, I think would be a perfect place to introduce you to the idea of layers. If you're coming from a paintbrush or paint and then you're transitioning onto Photoshop, the first thing that you might struggle a bit to wrap your head around is the idea of layers. Paintbrush or paint is sort of like working with a canvas, working on paper, working on a piece of slate or a board where you have one layer of medium on which you're painting or on which you're working on. But Photoshop is rather a tabletop on which you have multiple layers stacked upon each other. So it's more like a book, if you may, which has a lot of pages, a lot of layers stacked on top of each other. So where is the layer, you may ask? We don't have the layer panel open yet. So we're going to go to the Windows menu, and I believe it is the Windows menu even if you're using a Windows platform operating system. So you're going to go to layers, and the shortcut for that is F7. So now you see the layers here. This is your layers panel, and we have only one layer, that is the background layer, that is the image. Now we're going to copy this fielder, the selection that we have, and we're going to duplicate him onto another layer, or we're going to create a new layer with only this fielder in that layer, and none of the other image is going to be on that layer. So how do we do that? Very simple. You go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste, and you would see that instantly you have another layer on top of it. A new layer has been created the moment you pressed paste. The shortcut for copy paste is Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, or Command+C, Command+V based on your platform. Now, I cannot put enough emphasis on the importance of naming your layers. Right now you only have two layers, and it's not hard for you to identify which one is what, but as you keep on working in Photoshop and start working with complicated artwork, you would start getting overwhelmed with the number of layers that you have to deal with. I have personally worked with more than 100 layers at a time, and it could be so frustrating if you don't know which layer is what. So always name your layers the moment you create them. So I'm gonna name this layer Rhino. Okay. So we have a layer called Reina, and the selection you might have seen is gone. There's no selection now. So how do you know there's a layer? You see this eye symbol on the left hand side of the layers? You can just deselect a layer to see what else is there. So you're going to make this invisible, the background, and then you would see there's only Reina, the layer on top, that is visible. So this is all there is in the first layer. The second layer is the entire picture. Now we're going to move Reina around. To move him, if you try to move him, you won't be able to move him because you are still in the Lasso tool. So we're going to change the tool now to the Move tool, which is the first tool, and the shortcut for that is V. It's also a good habit to learn the shortcuts. Shortcuts can save a lot of time and will help you get the work done faster. Once you have selected the Move tool, then you need to go on to select which layer you want to move. So in this instance, we want to move Reina. So I've chosen Reina. I'm going to move him, but oh, wait a minute, what's happening? I'm only moving a part of him. Why? Because Ctrl+Z, Command+Z, undo what he just did. We have some marching ants selecting a part of the current image. We want to make this go. We can go back to the Lasso tool, just click once anywhere on the image and make the selection go away, or we can use the shortcut Command D or Control D to deselect whatever area you've selected. So that's something that you need to remember. Command D, Control D makes you deselect, and now you have the entire selection, the entire layer, the entire screen of the layer selected. Once you don't have a particular part selected, you have the entire screen in selection. So now you're going to go back to the Move tool, and you're going to move the fielder around like ta-da. There he is. He's in the square leg region. Okay, cool. But wait a minute, there's two Reinas. We don't want this guy here. We only want this guy. We don't want that guy. What do we do? Well, let's see. We're going to go back to the Lasso tool, and we're going to choose the background layer, and we're going to try and closely make a selection around him as much as possible, also covering his shadow. Okay, now we're going to have to make him poof, just disappear, go away. How do we do that? There's many ways to do that, but we're going to look at a cool feature that which will probably get a lot of people go like, wow, that's so cool. Okay, so go to Edit, Fill, and choose ContentAware from the drop-down menu. And don't worry about any other options or any other parameters. Just press OK. What happens? He's gone. Whoa, what just happened? This is kind of cool, isn't it? What's happened is this ContentAware sort of looks at the pixels from around the selected area and grabs the textured patches and fills up this selection with what Photoshop thinks could be there based on what's around it. Okay, it's not always perfect, but it will get the job done. So if you want to see how it looks, just deselect again, Command D, and you would see that it looks alright. There's still some small patches that we can work on, but we'll worry about that later. But for now, for starters, that's done. Okay, and now we're gonna come back to Reina. The fielder still has some uneven patches around him, so we're gonna erase this green area from around him and make him look like he's seamlessly patched onto the field. So we're gonna select Reina again, the first layer. Go to the next tool in this lesson, which is the Erase tool. The E is the shortcut for that, Erase tool. You can choose the size of the tool from up here, the brush size, the tool size. I'm gonna go down to roughly about 20, maybe more, 30 pixels. And I'm going to just zoom in, zoom tool right there. Or you can just press down Alt and just scroll up and down to zoom in or out. This is a handy way to zoom into a picture quickly without having to search for the zoom tool. So Option, scroll up or down. I'm gonna scroll in, zoom it on him a little bit, and then just zip, 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 zip. So the brush that I've chosen to erase it has a strict edge. I want it to be like a feathered edge. So I'm gonna go back to the tool. See, this one has like a very strict, sharp edges. This one has like a more feathery edge. So I'm gonna choose this tool, has some feathery edge. Now that it'll sort of merge in with the background if I use this tool. So I'm gonna use that brush and erase from around Reina. Okay, I think that's good enough. Yes, he does not have a shadow at the moment, but let's not make this too complicated. We'll talk about making shadows in another video. But for this video, this looks good, except he's facing some other direction. Why is he looking at Captain Cool? Because he's got to be facing this direction. So once again, we're gonna select the layer Reina. Go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. So we're gonna flip him horizontally the other way. Now he's facing the fielder. If you want to make it even more perfect, you can just go in there, choose his back of the jersey, and then flip it once more to then make it, make it look perfect. If you want to do that. So that's it. Now we have moved the fielder from the this position and moved him to this position where the ball is coming in. Job done. Well done. As they say, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I hope you never try any one of that. But there's more than one way to do anything. So we're going to look at another way of doing the same thing to achieve the same goal that we just did. For that purpose, we're going to use some different tools. Now, we're not going to go to the Lasso or the Marquee tool. We're going to use a different tool called the pen tool. Now, this tool could be a little annoying at start, but this is a tool I would highly recommend you to get used to. This is a tool that can be very helpful in the future. This is a tool you must get yourself comfortable with. We're going to zoom in once again, option scroll, choose the pen tool. Again, we're only going to make a rough selection. You can go in as close as possible and just select around him if you want. That'll also work, but for this video we're just going to go roughly around him. So click, make one click, and then click again. You can just, if you drag your mouse, you can kind of make your selection get curved a bit. Just make selections around your fielder. Okay, now you've made a path. You essentially made a path. But if you go to your move tool and move him around, nothing will happen, and it'll probably throw in some error message on your face. So what you're gonna have to what we're gonna have to do here is go to the path panel. If you don't have the path panel, go to Windows, Path, and you will have a path panel, and you will see a work path. Now with this selected, go down to the third option down below, which says load path as a selection. So you have a path here. Now you're going to load this as a selection. You hit on it. Now this path has converted into a selection, marching ants. Now you know what to do. Go back to layers, copy it and paste it. You got a new layer. That was a new layer. Cool. Now zoom out. You're gonna put him here. The routine, but we're not going to focus on this guy. We're going to focus on this guy here. How do we make him go away? We're not going to use ContentAware this time, because ContentAware, while it is quite amazing and could be very useful, there are places and times where it will not be handy. It will just not do the job. You simply cannot expect ContentAware to always be there to magically poof up the area that you want to be edited. So what do we do if we can't use ContentAware? There's another way to do that. There's more than one way to do that, obviously, but we're going to look at another tool that we're going to use to get this fielder, this part of the image, disappear. And the tool is clone stamp, which is right there, and the shortcut is S, clone stamp. Now with clone stamp selected, if you press anywhere on the screen, once again it's going to jump on your face with an error message and saying whatever, probably say something like, you stupid face, I can't work with that, or that's not how you use the tool. So you have to press down Alt or Option in your Mac. Once you press down Alt, you would see that the cursor has now changed from a circle into like a target symbol, which self-explains what's going to happen. You're going to target a part of this image which you want to be then cloned onto wherever you want it to be cloned on. So I'm going to choose roughly about here, okay, and then I'm going to let go my option. The cursor has changed back to the original shape. If you go over the fielder now, nothing's happening because I'm on the wrong layer. I'm sorry. So go back to the background. Go back to background, and this is the layer we're going to use, work on. So once again, press down Option, choose the area from which you want it to be cloned from, and then you move on to the fielder or the area that you want it to be cloned onto. Press, and ta-da! You just drag. So what it's doing essentially is, you see the plus mark over there? It's just copying whatever is on that spot and pasting it on wherever the circle is on. You can increase and decrease the size of your brush depending on what your need is. And we got the job done. I think that's good enough. unlike the last time, with this guy here, using an eraser tool where we erased around him, we can use the Lasso tool or the pen tool to make a selection around him and delete this region that we don't want. That's another way of doing it. So we have the guy selected. We're gonna go around him. Oops, the wrong tool. And just go around him like that. And delete it. So there we go. Command kind of. So you can do that as well. There's another way of clearing out the part of an image that you don't want, and go to transform, horizontal, you know. So that's another way to get the job done. And there are more ways to do that, but we'll conclude the lesson with this for the moment. If you guys find this free video helpful, I would appreciate it if you could take a moment to like our video, leave a comment, and maybe subscribe, so you can get more videos like this, and those that are looking for similar videos can find this video with more ease. So thank you guys. I'll see you again in another video. Have a great day.